Stop scrolling. This coin could change your life. Don't ignore this. Right now, if there's a Canadian 1-cent penny anywhere near you and the date ends in a 5, do not spend it. Yes, I'm serious. Every single day people toss these pennies into tip jars, vending machines, coin trays, and change jars without even looking. And that's exactly how silent fortunes disappear. Because here's the truth most people never realize. Canadian pennies don't look rare. They look ordinary. They look like small pocket change. That's the trap. Some rare Canadian 1-cent coins with the right year, condition, or mid-era have sold for over $20,000. Yes, for a single penny. And here's the secret nobody talks about. The less people understand these coins, the easier they are for collectors to pull them out of circulation. So before you spend that penny, check your pocket, check your wallet, check your change jar. Because the coin you ignore today could be worth thousands tomorrow. And trust me, from here the coins only get rarer, scarier, and more valuable. Stay with me until the end. This is Numismatic Vault Extra, USA, United States. And these coins change everything. The story of the 1989 Canadian 1-cent penny begins with a coin so small that most people once ignored it completely. For decades, pennies were the quiet workers of everyday commerce in Canada. They moved silently through millions of pockets, wallets, and cash registers, helping people make exact change for even the smallest purchases. Yet behind this humble copper coin lies a fascinating journey through history, culture, and the powerful world of coin collecting, where even the smallest coin can sometimes become a treasure worth thousands of dollars. The Canadian penny itself carries a tradition that stretches back more than a century. Long before 1989, the 1-cent coin had already become one of the most recognizable pieces of currency in the country. Its design represented Canada's natural beauty and its connection to the British monarchy. These coins were more than money. They were tiny symbols of national identity that passed through the hands of millions of people every single day. By the time the year 1989 arrived, Canada had developed a modern and sophisticated minting system. The organization responsible for producing the nation's coins, the Royal Canadian Mint, had already earned an international reputation for precision and quality. Its facilities were capable of striking millions of coins every year, ensuring that businesses and banks always had the change they needed to keep the economy moving smoothly. When a 1989 penny was created, it began its life as a small blank piece of metal called a planchet. These planchets were carefully manufactured to ensure uniform size, weight, and composition. Once prepared, they entered powerful coining presses, where engraved dies stamped the coin's design onto the metal with incredible force. The front of the 1989 Canadian penny features the portrait of Elizabeth II, who served as the monarch of Canada for many decades. Her image on the coin symbolizes Canada's constitutional monarchy and its historic relationship with the British Crown. The portrait shows the Queen facing right while wearing a royal diadem, surrounded by inscriptions that identify her role as Canada's sovereign. On the reverse side of the coin appears one of the most beloved designs in Canadian coinage, the maple leaf twig. Two graceful maple leaves extend from a slender branch, carefully engraved with remarkable detail. The maple leaf has long been recognized as the national symbol of Canada, representing the country's strength, resilience, and natural beauty. The denomination 1 cent appears beneath the maple leaves, along with the country's name. For generations, Canadians instantly recognized this design. It was simple, elegant, and deeply connected to the identity of the nation itself. Unlike many coins produced in the United States, Canadian pennies from this era often did not carry visible mint marks. Instead, they were produced primarily at the main facilities of the Royal Canadian Mint. Because of this, collectors identify them mainly by their year and design details rather than the mint mark. The 1989 penny was made largely from copper, giving it the familiar reddish tone that collectors associate with older cents. Copper coins develop a unique appearance over time as they age. Some become deep brown, while others retain their original bright reddish color if they are preserved carefully. During the late 20th century, enormous numbers of these pennies were produced. Millions entered circulation every year to support everyday transactions in stores, markets, and businesses across the country. Because of these high production numbers, Most examples of the 1989 penny are still considered common today. However, the world of coin collecting is filled with surprising discoveries. Among millions of ordinary coins, a few can become extremely valuable because of rare errors, unusual minting characteristics, or exceptional preservation. Sometimes a coin may be struck slightly off-center or display doubled letters, caused by subtle variations in the minting process. These errors can transform an ordinary coin into a fascinating collectible that attracts the attention of experienced numismatists. Another factor that dramatically affects a coin's value is its condition. Coins that have never circulated heavily can retain their original shine, known as mint luster. These coins often appear bright and sharply detailed, as if they were minted only yesterday. Collectors carefully examine coins under magnification to evaluate their condition. Professional grading services assign numerical grades that help determine how well a coin has survived the passage of time. When a coin receives an extremely high grade, it becomes far rarer than typical examples. Collectors who seek the best possible pieces for their collections often compete to obtain these pristine coins, sometimes pushing prices much higher than expected. Stories sometimes circulate among collectors about coins selling for dramatic amounts of money. In rare circumstances, especially when a coin combines exceptional condition with unusual characteristics, prices can reach impressive levels, such as $30,000 or more. These stories capture the imagination of people everywhere. The idea that a simple penny could become a valuable treasure inspires many collectors to search through old jars, inherited coin collections, and forgotten drawers. The journey of a single 1989 penny can be remarkable. After being struck at the mint, it may have traveled through banks and businesses before eventually entering everyday circulation. Perhaps it was used to buy a newspaper, a piece of candy, or a bus ticket during the late 1980s or early 1990s. Over the years, that same coin might have passed through thousands of hands, quietly performing its role as part of the nation's currency system. Each transaction added another chapter to the coin's silent story. Eventually, many pennies were set aside when Canada stopped producing the 1-cent coin in the 21st century. As pennies disappeared from circulation, people began storing them in jars, boxes, and collections. Today, these coins have become reminders of an earlier era when even the smallest denominations played an important role in daily life. For collectors, each coin offers a connection to the past. The 1989 Canadian 1-cent penny represents more than just a tiny copper coin. It symbolizes a moment in Canadian history, a piece of craftsmanship from the Royal Canadian Mint, and a memory of everyday transactions that once shaped ordinary life. Even though most examples remain common, the possibility that a rare variety or perfectly preserved specimen might exist continues to excite collectors. Somewhere, perhaps hidden in an old coin jar or inherited collection, a remarkable penny might still be waiting to be discovered. And that possibility, the chance that a small coin could carry both history and unexpected value, is what makes the world of coin collecting endlessly fascinating. Next up, the fascinating journey of the 1995 Canadian 1-cent penny begins with a coin that once seemed almost invisible in everyday life. For decades, pennies quietly moved through the hands of millions of people across Canada, used for the smallest purchases and often forgotten at the bottom of pockets or jars. Yet behind this tiny copper coin lies a remarkable story of history, craftsmanship, and the thrilling world of coin collecting, where even the most ordinary-looking coin can sometimes become an unexpected treasure worth thousands of dollars. To truly understand the 1995 Canadian penny, it helps to appreciate the long tradition of Canada's coinage. From the earliest days of modern Canadian currency, the 1-cent coin played an important role in daily commerce. It represented precision in transactions and allowed businesses to calculate exact prices. Though small in value, the penny became one of the most widely used coins in the country's economy. By 1995, Canada had already developed one of the most respected minting institutions in the world. The Royal Canadian Mint had built a global reputation for producing coins with remarkable accuracy and beauty. Its facilities were capable of striking millions of coins every year, not only for Canada, but also for many other countries that trusted the Mint's expertise. When a 1995 penny was created, it began as a small metal blank called a planchet. These blanks were carefully manufactured to meet strict specifications of size, weight, and metal composition. After inspection, they were fed into powerful presses, where engraved steel dies stamped the coin's design with tremendous force. The result was a coin that carried the identity of a nation. On the front of the 1995 Canadian penny appears the portrait of Elizabeth II, who served as the monarch of Canada for more than 7 decades. Her image on Canadian coins symbolized continuity, stability, and Canada's constitutional monarchy. The portrait shows the Queen facing to the right, wearing a royal diadem. Around her image appear inscriptions identifying her as the reigning monarch. This design remained a familiar sight for generations of Canadians who handled coins every day. Turning the coin over reveals one of the most beloved designs in Canadian numismatic history, the maple leaf twig. 2 delicate maple leaves extend from a branch, engraved with elegant detail. The maple leaf is one of the most recognizable symbols of Canada, representing the country's forests, landscapes, and national pride. Below the leaves appear the words 1 cent and the name of the country. Though simple in appearance, the design carries deep meaning. For many Canadians, the maple leaf represents unity and the beauty of the nation's natural environment. Unlike many coins produced in the United States, Canadian pennies from this period often did not include a visible mint mark. Most of these coins were produced by the Royal Canadian Mint without a letter indicating the mint location. Because of this, collectors identify the coins mainly by their year and design characteristics. The 1995 penny was made primarily from copper-plated metal, giving it the warm reddish color that collectors recognize instantly. Freshly minted coins displayed a bright shine known as mint luster. Over time, as coins circulated through the economy, their surfaces gradually darkened and developed rich brown tones. During the mid-1990s, enormous numbers of pennies were produced each year. The Canadian economy relied on these small coins for everyday transactions in shops, grocery stores, and markets. As a result, millions of 1995 pennies entered circulation almost immediately after they were minted. Because so many were produced, most examples of the 1995 Canadian penny are still common today. Many have survived in worn condition after decades of circulation. These typical coins usually carry only modest collector value. However, the world of coin collecting is filled with fascinating surprises. Among millions of ordinary coins, a few can become highly valuable because of unusual minting errors or exceptional preservation. Sometimes a coin might be struck slightly off-center, producing a dramatic appearance that immediately catches the attention of collectors. Other times, double letters or numbers may appear if the die shifted during the striking process. These small imperfections are not considered flaws by collectors. Instead, they are unique features that make a coin special. Error coins often become prized discoveries because they reveal rare moments in the minting process. Condition is another powerful factor that determines a coin's value. Coins that were never heavily circulated can remain in remarkable condition for decades. These coins retain their original shine and display crisp, sharp details in the design. Professional grading experts carefully examine coins under magnification to evaluate their condition. They assign numerical grades that help collectors determine how rare a coin is in its particular state of preservation. A 1995 Canadian penny that survives in nearly perfect condition can be far more desirable than the worn example. Collectors often compete for the finest coins available, especially when only a few examples exist in top condition. Stories sometimes circulate in the collecting world about coins achieving astonishing prices. In rare situations where a coin combines an unusual minting characteristic with extraordinary preservation, values can rise dramatically. Some collectors imagine prices reaching levels such as $30,000 when the right coin attracts intense demand. These stories capture the imagination of collectors everywhere. They inspire people to examine their loose change more closely, hoping that an overlooked coin might hold unexpected value. The journey of a single 1995 penny can be remarkable. After being struck at the mint, it might have been packed into large canvas bags and shipped to banks throughout Canada. From there, it entered the busy world of commerce. Perhaps it was used to buy a newspaper, a stamp, or a small treat from a neighborhood shop. Each exchange added another chapter to the coin's quiet life as part of the nation's circulating currency. Years later, the same coin might have been placed in a jar or collection as pennies gradually disappeared from everyday use. In 2012, Canada officially stopped producing the 1-cent coin, making older pennies reminders of a different era. Today, the 1995 Canadian 1-cent penny stands as a small but meaningful piece of history. It represents a time when pennies still played a vital role in daily transactions, and when every coin carried the symbol of Canada's maple leaf. For collectors, coins like this are more than simple pieces of metal. They are historical artifacts that tell stories about the economy, technology, and culture of the time in which they were created. Somewhere, perhaps in an old jar of coins or an inherited collection, a beautifully preserved 1995 penny might still be waiting to be discovered. That possibility, the chance that a simple copper coin could carry both history and surprising value, is what makes coin collecting such an endlessly exciting pursuit. Next up, the story of the 2001 Canadian 1-cent penny begins with a small copper-colored coin that once passed through millions of hands across Canada. At first glance, it appears ordinary, just a single cent used for everyday purchases. Yet within the world of coin collecting, even such a modest coin carries a fascinating story of national identity, craftsmanship, and the possibility that a simple piece of metal could one day attract the attention of collectors searching for hidden treasures. The Canadian penny has a history that stretches back more than a century. Long before the year 2001, the 1-cent coin had already become one of the most recognizable parts of Canada's currency system. From small neighborhood shops to busy city markets, pennies played an essential role in making exact change. Though worth only a fraction of a dollar, they symbolized precision in commerce and were used in countless daily transactions. By the time the 2001 penny was produced, the nation's coinage system had been refined through decades of technological development. The coins were manufactured by the Royal Canadian Mint, an institution internationally respected for its high-quality minting standards. The mint had the capability to strike enormous quantities of coins every year while maintaining precise designs and uniform quality. The production of a penny begins long before the coin receives its familiar design. Each coin starts as a round metal blank, known as a planchet. These blanks are created under strict measurements to ensure they match the required weight and diameter. In 2001, pennies were produced using copper-plated metal rather than solid copper, allowing the mint to reduce production costs while preserving the traditional copper appearance. Once prepared, these planchets pass through powerful coining presses, where engraved dies strike the designs into the metal with immense pressure. In a fraction of a second, a blank piece of metal becomes a recognizable coin, carrying the identity of a nation. On the front of the 2001 Canadian penny appears the portrait of Elizabeth II, the monarch who served as Canada's head of state for many decades. Her portrait was designed by Canadian artist Dora de Petrie Hunt, whose work appeared on Canadian coins for many years. The Queen is shown facing to the right, wearing a royal diadem, surrounded by the Latin inscription identifying her as the reigning monarch. Turning the coin over reveals one of the most famous symbols of Canada, the maple leaf twig. This elegant design shows two maple leaves attached to a slender branch. It was created by designer George Edward Kruger, whose work has appeared on several Canadian coins since the 1930s. The maple leaf has long been associated with Canadian identity. It represents the country's forests, natural beauty, and enduring national pride. For generations of Canadians, the image of the maple leaf on the penny became instantly recognizable. Physically, the 2001 penny is a small coin measuring about 19 millimeters in diameter and weighing just over 2 grams. Its edge is smooth, and its surface carries the reddish color created by the copper plating applied during production. During 2001, the Royal Canadian Mint produced enormous numbers of pennies to meet the demands of commerce. More than 900 million coins were struck that year, ensuring a steady supply of small change across the country. Because of these large production numbers, most 2001 pennies are still considered common today. Many circulated heavily in stores, vending machines, and public transportation systems before eventually being stored in jars or collections. However, coin collecting often reveals surprises hidden among ordinary coins. Occasionally, A penny might contain a minting error, such as doubled letters, off-center strikes, or unusual metal variations. That makes it unique. These rare variations can transform an otherwise common coin into an exciting discovery. Collectors also pay close attention to a coin's condition. A coin that circulated for many years will usually show scratches, dull color, and worn design details. In contrast, a coin that remained carefully stored may retain its original shine, known as mint luster. Professional grading organizations evaluate coins under magnification and assign condition grades. These grades help collectors determine how rare a coin is in a particular state of preservation. In most cases, a circulated 2001 Canadian penny carries only a small collector value, often only a few cents. Even high-quality uncirculated examples usually sell for modest amounts in the collector market. Yet stories of valuable coins continue to inspire collectors everywhere. Occasionally, a coin with an unusual error or exceptional condition can attract strong attention at auctions. In rare circumstances, collectors imagine values climbing dramatically, sometimes into the thousands of dollars, when a unique specimen appears. Because of these possibilities, people often search through jars of old coins, hoping to find something special. A penny that once seemed insignificant might suddenly become an object of curiosity and excitement. The life journey of a single 2001 penny can be remarkable. After being minted, it may have been shipped to a bank and then distributed to shops and businesses. From there it traveled through countless transactions, perhaps used to buy a newspaper, a bus ticket, or a small treat. Years later, that same coin might have ended up in a drawer, a jar, or a coin collection after Canada eventually discontinued the penny in 2012. As pennies gradually disappeared from everyday circulation, they began to take on a nostalgic value as reminders of an earlier era. Today, the 2001 Canadian 1-cent penny represents more than just a small coin. It is a tiny historical artifact that reflects the technology, culture, and economy of the early 21st century. For collectors, the thrill lies in the search. Somewhere among millions of ordinary coins, a rare variety or perfectly preserved example might still be waiting to be discovered. And that possibility, the idea that a simple copper-colored penny could carry both history and unexpected value, is what continues to make the world of coin collecting endlessly fascinating.